I was left the sole beneficiary of my late husband's will. My husband died this year from a heart attack. He left me a very large amount of money, as well as our house that was in his name and a few other properties outside the city. He left nothing, however, to his children. His children have been contacting me incessantly about the money and properties. They feel that they should each get a property and a portion of the money. My husband did not have a relationship with his children, however, which was largely a result of his previous wife's actions. This isn't just my opinion. I heard the calls and saw the court documents. His second child is not biologically his, which he found out when the boy was 3, which led to the divorce. His wife, however, convinced the kids that he had cheated on her. His children hated him as a result of her actions and refused any contact. This crushed my husband. The hurt grew into resentment, and he decided not to leave his children anything when he died. He updated his will 4 years ago. I do not want to give his kids anything either, though I have the means to. I told them as such, and the daughter blew up at me and began calling me nonstop. I blocked her, but she somehow got a hold of my work email and sent me several angry emails. Neither the son or daughter is well off, and the daughter has 3 kids who I've never met. She has a house, however, so I believe she wants the property for her mother. Apparently her mother loved those properties. They have been in my husband's family for generations. I do feel bad for her kids, but their mother has treated me terribly, and my husband would roll over in his grave if his ex-wife acquired one of the properties. WIBTA if I sent a cease and desist letter to his daughter. Edit. Thank you for the comments on my post. I cannot reply to all, but please know that I am in contact with a lawyer. Also, to clarify, my husband and I married when he was 49 and I was 45. His son was born before we met. My husband's ex-wife claimed that he cheated on her prior to her becoming pregnant with the son after it was discovered that the son was not his. She was not contesting the parentage of the child, as that wouldn't make sense. She was trying to keep the children from their father. I apologize that this is a bit confusing. Edit 2. My lawyer has drafted the cease and desist letter and will be sending it to the daughter this week. We also went over my husband's will, and she told me that if the daughter tries to contest it, she will have nothing to stand on. Aside from sending me another email, the daughter has not contacted me any further, nor has she contacted anyone at my work. I also have not heard from the son. I am now actually considering sending the son a small sum of money, as I found out through Facebook that he was recently accepted to a PhD program in a subject somewhat related to the one I teach. Actually, I plan to send him enough to cover at least a year of tuition costs. I have spoken with my lawyer about this, and she agreed that this is appropriate, but that I should not tell the daughter. The son is also not close with his sister, so I do not see her finding out. Lastly, when I reread my post, it looks like I painted the son in an unfairly bad light. While he did ask for a property, he did not contact me incessantly. That was actually just his sister, and I made a mistake in my original post. Thank you for all of your comments and help. I appreciate it. Story 2. I have been a single mother to my daughter ever since her father passed away when she was a baby. It was hard pulling us through, but we made it. I finished my degree, earned a nice job with a high salary, and we now live comfortable. One of my priorities was setting aside a college fund for my daughter. Her father had started one when he found out I was pregnant, and I chose to add on to it once he passed. When she was 17, I sat down with her and told her that once she is ready for college to not worry, because I and her dad have saved up money for her education. I told her this money could go towards tuition, housing, food, books, etc. She planned on moving into an apartment in the same state as the school and attending some online classes, some in person. Anything to make her college life comfortable and fun I was willing to offer. I wanted the best for her because when I went to college I struggled financially. She was grateful and thanked me. Obviously the pandemic has made school different for everyone, and senior year of HS was difficult for her, but she was still accepted into one of the top schools in the nation, and I was so proud of her. 4 days ago she sat me down and told me that she was pregnant. I was shocked because she was on birth control. I figured it was an accident. She's due in September, right when school starts. That meant we had to back out signing a lease for her future apartment, and would have to stay home to raise the baby. Starting college with a newborn would have been a challenge, but doable, so I accepted it. Until later that night I overheard, not eavesdrop, her convo with her boyfriend. She told her BF not to worry about supporting the baby, she would just use her college money for it. I also heard that she'd been lying to me. Turns out she decided to stop taking the pill simply because she wanted to switch to a different BC, but she didn't tell me. So for the past 3 months she's been picking up her BC and she wasn't taking them. If she wanted to switch to something else like the implant or an IUD, I would have supported it. I'm not some stuck-up prude. I was open to my daughter about protecting herself from STIs, pregnancy, so this choice confuses me. Next night I told her that she and her boyfriend would have to find a way to support the baby because her college fund was for college only. She broke down, asking me how she was going to manage to support her baby when she nor her BF had a job. I told her she should have thought about that before she spread her legs with no contraception. She called me a horrible mother and grandmother. I was setting them up for failure. I told her that I set her up for success, yet she chose the route which made things difficult for her. She told some other family members and are saying I'm the ta and should think of the child. I replied that while I love my grandchild, I plan on staying firm about the college fund, but now I'm unsure. AITA. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up overnight. I wasn't expecting all of these comments, but thank you for each one that was on my side, and thank you to the ones who called me out on my slut-shaming comment. I admit that was a horrible thing to say. I will try to provide an update. Story 3. I have 2 daughters, Leanne and Lucy. I adore my girls, but since I remarried Rebecca fairly soon after the divorce, they weren't impressed, especially since I gained a stepdaughter, Sophie. I did my best, but they remain closer to their mother to this day, and when the lockdowns first started they wished to stay with her and communicate with me through tech. Clarification, because everyone was asking. I did not cheat. My ex-wife Sharon has been struggling since the pandemic. Money is tight for both her and her boyfriend Luke, and with them and both the girls there's not a lot of space. Leanne especially is coping very poorly, and Sharon asked if I was willing to have her for a short while. Apparently at Leanne's request I was surprised by this, since she was the one who felt most negatively towards me after the divorce, and we recently had a big fight because she dropped out of university. So I agreed, knowing that it would be tough. But her behavior hasn't been acceptable. She's rude to Rebecca. She frequently takes clothes of Sophie's. She says she and Lucy share things all the time, but their relationship and attitudes to clothes is different. Sophie's wardrobe is essentially sacred to her for reasons I don't have the word count to explain, but can in the comments if deemed relevant. Leanne also makes a lot of noise, swears a lot, is messy, and very aggressive when she doesn't get her way or is rebuked for her behavior, particularly if it's Rebecca that says something. Tensions have been rising lately because Sophie was due to start university again today. Leanne and I fought about this, as I mentioned, so it was a delicate subject regardless, and with Leanne's noise disturbance Sophie has found it difficult to concentrate on her prep work, so they've been arguing even more. Sophie bought a new shirt and necklace for her first meeting today. A new outfit for a specific event is Sophie code for I'm stressed about this. The idea of an online term is quite daunting. Today, she went to get dressed and found the blouse ripped apart and the necklace destroyed on her bed. She started crying. There was a big fight. Rebecca calmed Sophie down in time for her class, and I sent Leanne to her room and told her to stay there until her mother arrives to pick her up. Not just the vandalism, but the fact that she deliberately searched for the items she knew Sophie had chosen to calm herself down for her class. Just too much for me. I've said I'm happy to take Lucy if space is still an issue, but Leanne can't live in my house if she's going to destroy her stepsister's property and make life difficult for everyone. Sharon, Luke and Leanne all say I'm an off for putting them in this position and not prioritizing Leanne because she's my daughter. They won't pick her up, so AITA. Update. Thanks to all the comments with all the judgments. Since Sharon wouldn't come get her and I didn't want her taking public transport right now, Leanne stayed the night. She didn't come out of her room, but Rebecca brought her dinner, and I brought her breakfast this morning. Pain au chocolat, which is her favorite, so kind of a peace offering. I decided to take the advice of the comments about trying to parent her instead of just kicking her out, especially since I'd had time to cool down. I told her that if she wanted to stay there would have to be some ground rules. She needed to apologize to Sophie and pay her back the full amount for the items. If she wanted to borrow things she had to ask politely first, and she had to make an effort to clean up after herself and be polite and respectful around the house. Leanne agreed, and she went out to apologize to Sophie and asked her how much the items cost. This caused another fight because the blouse was expensive and she didn't want to pay it back. Thank you very much for the comment about bringing it back to the absolute. I'll try and find it again because that was very helpful. It doesn't matter whether you'd pay that much for a shirt. You destroyed someone else's property and have to reimburse them fully was repeated a lot. Leanne agreed, and although she was sulky about it, she has been better behaved for the rest of the morning and afternoon. She's currently playing on the Switch and has called Sharon to let her know that all is currently fine. Some other loose threads. I mentioned therapy in the conversation with her. I'll bring it up again with Sharon present, probably, because I agree that it would be a good idea. She didn't seem opposed when I mentioned it. To all the people that are honestly angry that I helped Sophie redecorate her room because she was seriously ill, fuck you. Honestly, it doesn't matter that she's not my blood. If you had a daughter, step or otherwise, in that situation, you definitely would have done what you could. As for her real dad doing it, trust me, her real dad is thankfully not allowed to see her. Story 4. My daughter Ava is 4 years old, had her young. My girlfriend passed away when my daughter was a baby, so I'm mostly on my own taking care of her. Before pandemic I used to leave Ava at daycare, but since it's closed and not safe for her to be out, I started paying my mom to watch her weekdays when I work. My mom told me a month ago this lady just moved in a few houses down and she comes over to chat. I never met her until Friday when I got off work early and went to pick up my daughter. Ava was playing in the backyard, so we stayed longer. Then her neighbor friend came and my mom introduced us. The lady commented that it's so sweet I still make time to visit my mom and play with my little sister. I looked at my mom confused and thought she would have corrected the lady, but she was just standing there smiling like she agreed. So I told her she's my daughter actually. She was just as confused as I was, but she just went, "Oh." My mom, I guess, tried to save face, saying she loves my daughter like her own, so it's easy to forget. Anyways, it was awkward, so I just got Ava and we went home. I have this week off, so not taking her to my mom's place. My mom called earlier because she's mad her friend isn't talking to her much. Before she came over every day. And now she hasn't come since Friday. My mom said her friend assumed Ava was her daughter when they first met. And she was embarrassed to admit she's her grandma because she didn't want the lady thinking bad about her. She says I didn't have to ruin it for her. And it didn't hurt anyone to let her think that. We ended up arguing. My mom's mad I embarrassed her and now she might have lost a new friend. I'm mad she'd lie about something like that and didn't consider she could be confusing Ava saying stuff like that. She swears she never said anything in front of my daughter. But if I believe that. I get it, some people are gonna judge me for being a young dad or judge her as a parent, so I guess I can see where my mom was coming from. Even if I don't care, they can think what they want. But it did embarrass my mom, so I wanna know if I'm the asshole for saying something about it.